Oh, welcome back to Evergreen Marketing Era for Women Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Andrea Singletary, podcast strategist for women in business who want to get leads and sign clients from their podcast. Okay, I am talking about Substack today. I have so many thoughts when it comes to Substack, but I really wanted to answer this question, should business owners use Substack for podcast hosting? And of course, I'm talking about this because this conversation has been coming up a lot on Threads. And I'm going to be real, I don't recommend it, but I'm going to tell you why. So, yeah, that's what we're diving in today. This is again, something that has been a very popular topic on Threads for a while now. There are many feelings when it comes to Substack for your business. And so I'm going to be talking specifically about the podcast feature of Substack, not necessarily the other stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. So if you're new to Substack or you're like, okay, Andrea, what in the world is Substack? You've probably been living under a rock. No, I'm just kidding. But Substack is basically a publishing platform that allows writers, podcasters, and video creators to publish content, build an audience, and monetize their work through subscriptions, like subscription emails and a dedicated website. It's really set up like social media, and it allows you to, again, include blogs, podcasts, and videos. So it's like a social media platform, essentially, like when you're scrolling on it. So yeah, that's kind of like the gist of it. But let's talk about the features it has for podcasting. So you can launch your podcast on Substack. Some of the features it includes is that you get to choose your podcast category. So inside of any hosting platform you use, you get to categorize what the main topic is for your podcast. So like, for instance, with me, my main category, primary category, as I should say, is marketing. And then I think secondary, I put business, entrepreneurship, so on and so forth. But you get to choose a category for your podcast. So that way, in the podcast listening apps, they will know how to categorize your content. Another feature it has is that you're able to show your podcast on your Substack website page and show like your newest episodes on the homepage. Now, as far as metrics, it tracks downloads, the top countries that like where people are tuning into your podcast, and your top podcast listening apps. So the primary listening apps that people are tuning in on. As far as distribution, it distributes to Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music, YouTube Podcasts, Pocket Cast, and Overcast. It doesn't distribute to Amazon Music, Pandora, Podcast Index, Player FM, Deezer, Boomplay, and then there are like a couple of other ones that it doesn't distribute to. It does allow you to migrate to another podcast host if you decide to switch platforms after launching. You also can record on the platform, and then it allows you to share your episodes directly with your Substack followers. So I believe you can do this through the email aspect of the platform. Now, Substack in theory, it sounds great, right? But when you're podcasting for your business, it is not the best option. Number one, the analytics are super limited. You need to know more than just how many downloads you're getting per month, who is listening where, the top countries where people are listening, and what your top podcast listening apps are. You need to know more than that. Now, on paid platforms like Captivate, you can actually see the number of unique listeners you have. So this means that the individual people who are tuning into an episode. So this gives you a better idea than downloads. Downloads are just the number of times an episode has been downloaded. And so say you get, 100 downloads in a day. Well, unique listeners tell you whether or not that was 100 people that downloaded an individual episode, or if it was 5 people who downloaded a bunch of your episodes. So it's a clear difference, right? I've talked about this before. I talked about this back in, it was my newest episode on podcast metrics. I will link it in the show notes. But that gives you a better idea of like how many people are tuning in compared to downloads. So it really doesn't give you everything you need. You can't create unique links to track leads and conversions directly from your podcast, at least through the hosting platform. Now, there are other ways to do this, but one of the features in Captivate is that you can create these unique links to see like which of your podcast listeners are joining your email list or converting into a specific offer. It gives you more data to track and know how your podcast is actually working for your business. And Substack doesn't give you that. The other thing is that it's not ideal for podcast discovery through organic search. Substack prioritizes text-based content over audio content. So audio content doesn't get pushed out as much as text-based content. And when I say text-based content, I'm talking about like the blogging and newsletter aspect. Those get top priority over their audio content. And the reality is that because it did start out as a primarily like written text-based platform, most people who are, on the platform, they're searching for that written content, not as much audio content. Also, a big part of growing your audience on Substack is through recommendations and Substack notes. So having other creators on the platform recommend you, and then utilizing the feature of Substack notes, which is kind of like their social media aspect of it. So you like post quotes, ideas, episode clips, and everything like that. And so if you're looking to grow your podcast on Substack, you're going to have to do much more marketing, which you don't have the time to do as a business owner. Now, again, you can distribute to the podcast listening apps. And so you can try to, optimize for SEO that way, but it's still kind of limiting, and you're still having to do this extra work if you are hosting your podcast on Substack. The other issue with the platform is that you're driving people to your Substack page instead of your website. So one of the strategies I teach inside of Podcasts Like a Business Owner, my podcast launch course, is housing your show notes on your website. And this is to help with that organic search piece. The reality is that a podcast is just another channel for you to market your business and sell your offers. So your podcast should be pointing listeners back to your business. Getting listeners on your website creates more opportunities for making connection points and seeing conversions. They can explore your website to learn more about you, your offers, and even join your email list. So no, you don't want to drive people to your Substack page for your podcast because your goal is not to grow the podcast. The goal is to connect with more people who will be a good fit to work with you. You want them on your website, the one that you actually own. Okay? So these are some of the reasons why I don't recommend it when you're podcasting for your business. It's not really helping you grow your business. Now, outside of it not being ideal for your business, because I do have to address this, the platform is problematic in and of itself. They allow for hateful speech and don't monitor or regulate any hateful or harmful content shared on the platform. And they state this. The CEO of the company has shared this as well. They take a very hands-off approach. It's called like a hands-off policy when it comes to like monitoring people's content. So people can just say whatever they want, even if it is very hateful and harmful. That's a problem. We don't want that. We don't want that. But at the end of the day, Substack just creates another barrier or hoop for your potential clients to jump through. The platform is geared more towards creatives than business owners selling products and services. And so it essentially creates friction when it comes to getting leads and converting them into your offers because they're discovering you on Substack. But that is not the main place where you're promoting your offers, where you have information about your offers. That's on your website. So now you got to get them off Substack and over to your website. So it's like creating this extra layer there. Or even too, like if you're trying to convert people who are following on Substack over to your podcast, and then getting them over to your actual website, they're having to jump through all these hoops. And you don't want that. Now, as a side note, this is a personal issue I have with the platform, but as a consumer of Substack content, which I don't consume it, I've been randomly added to people's Substacks. I guess like when it was the big phase of people moving over to Substack, they were basically taking their email subscribers and putting them on Substack. But I really didn't like how they sent you updates or new content published via email. The layout of the email was really just irritating to me. And it only would like give you a snippet and then you would have to go on a platform to access the full thing. I'm not sure if that's how the podcast option works, since I've only seen this for the written content, but it was very annoying for me. And I just ended up unsubscribing from people's Substack, especially because like they didn't ask me if I wanted to be part of their Substack community. Like I joined your email list. I didn't join your Substack. So that's something to be mindful of too, because I've heard other people complain about this as well. You need to ask permission because Substack, even if you are using the newsletter feature, it's not just a newsletter platform. It's something completely different. And how the emails are sent, it's like you're seeing part of like the Substack platform. Like it's not like a normal, somebody sends you an email through a platform like Flowdesk or something like that. So yeah, it's not really cool. But anyways, the main takeaway from this episode is that if you want to truly leverage your podcast as a marketing and sales platform, don't use Substack for your podcast hosting. Inside Podcasts Like a Business Owner, I recommend Captivate, which is truly geared towards podcasting business owners. I even walk you through how to set up the platform, how to use the different features, and so much more. I have been with Captivate since I launched my podcast, almost 4 years ago now, and it has not disappointed me. They are always adding new features. They provide so many free workshops. They have excellent customer support, and it's truly an amazing platform. Like I'm a stan for Captivate. They have never, ever, ever disappointed me. So if you want to launch your podcast like a business owner, and if you're listening to this podcast, I know you do, head on over to mamaturnedmompreneur.com/course to join now. I have also linked my affiliate link for Captivate that gets you a 30-day free trial below. So if you're like, maybe you decided to start on Substack and you're realizing, you know what, this isn't the platform for me, give Captivate a try. Use my affiliate link. You can get 30 days free. And if you haven't launched your podcast yet, go ahead, grab Podcasts Like a Business Owner so I can walk you through everything you need to know to truly set this up as a marketing and sales platform to grow your business from day one. All right, I will catch you in the next episode.